You know what I love? Miniatures. Did you know that there's a scene with a miniature flash flood in Dante's Peak that we totally missed? Oh.
Hold up. Wait, hold up.
Also, there's crazy miniatures in this movie called League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and an incredible character that these days would be 100% CG.
No, we are seeing the back of the paint. That is not an effect you can get doing practically. Also, we're gonna touch on why the Watchmen movie did something technologically that the new Obi-Wan show could not.
Whoa.
That's rough. It like gets darker.
Yeah. Plus, Sam gets food poisoning in the middle of this episode. If you don't believe me, just watch.
That's why Sam's actually going to be on the couch the moment this intro's over.
Yeah.
So, what's going on in the Cascades?
Picking up some activity around Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak. We already looked at Dante's Peak.
Yeah, you already did, didn't you? That was years ago. Also, you kind of missed, I think, one of the coolest shots or sequences in the actual film.
What do you mean, you? I guess, wait, you weren't on the couch back
Wait,
then.
did we?
I wasn't. It was you guys and Freddie. And you were like, oh, cool, volcanoes, lava. And right beneath you, unbeknownst to you, was actually something far more incredible than any of that.
Ooh, look at this little flash
what
flood.
Are those sticks?
That's gotta be a
Those
miniature.
are sticks.
It's not a real waterfall.
That's not a real flash flood.
Whoa.
Nice.
Well, that was pretty cool.
Man, this is sick, actually.
Yeah, this stuff looks really nice.
Damn.
Look at that.
Man, miniatures are so pretty.
Now watch this shot.
Oh.
Hold up. Wait, hold up.
That's awesome. I love it. God, what a day on set that would be.
Now. What?
Wait.
All right. It appears you guys just had the moment I had.
Whoa. Heck yeah. This is awesome.
Isn't this incredible?
Man, why don't they do miniatures anymore?
Isn't this, I'm just like
This is
totally
awesome.
blown away. Obviously we have some miniature work going on here, but in that sequence, what do you think is miniatures and what's real?
At first glance on that shot where the camera is pulling back, it definitely looked like the background and all that stuff was miniature. It was well done, but then the cars like tricked my brain out for a moment because they were moving, they were driving through, they looked very realistic, and so my brain wanted to believe that they were full-scale cars.
But then it goes to this shot, which does not look like a miniature shot. And maybe it is. Actually, you know what? It probably is, but a bigger scale miniature.
What a shot with the handheld motion.
Yeah, this shot's incredible right here. That feels like you're driving on the bridge with that car. But, you know, it's just gotta be part of the set that we've been seeing this whole time.
You're 100% right.
This is like a kid's action figure dream, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, this is actually an entire mega-sized miniature set that's like something like 1:4 or 1:3 scale.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
it's
big.
Okay.
They're pretty big. They had to actually build this whole set in a giant airplane hangar at like the Van Nuys airport.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and they're just saying, screw it, we're dumping like 650,000 gallons of water.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's how big their tank is, and it can do like 150,000 gallons per minute.
Because the thing about working with like miniature water is that at a certain point, it just doesn't look like full-scale water. So if you're involving miniatures that have water interacting with it, it has to be at a large enough scale to kind of like tip over into that large scale format that water acts like. Because water acts very different in large scale versus small scale. So that makes working with miniature stuff very tricky.
Those are like RC vehicles that are also being towed, you know, underneath the ground. You know,
Okay.
under, like there's like a little, you know, it's like a slot car.
Oh, wait, you know what? I could see the little slot track.
Yeah, because that's the only way they can have the precision. Because with all this stuff going on, if you have like an RC vehicle,
Exactly. RC vehicles are very difficult to work with.
yeah, like if
We
you-
know from experience.
Yeah, try and accurately drive that across this with lifelike motion onto this bridge. Also, by the way, you've just released a swimming pool's worth of water, and if you want to refill it, it might take a few days, hours. I don't know. I don't know how long it takes to fill those pools, but long enough where you don't want to mess up these little RC cars and have that ruin your shot.
All these miniatures are just incredible.
Yeah, the more I get into these, it's like VFX artists react to great miniatures. It's like kind of the other title of the show. Because so much of films from this era and previously relied on that.
Watchmen. One of us died tonight.
All right, so this is the Watchmen movie that came out in 2009. Alan Moore loves this movie.
Loves it.
Jokes. Moving on. VFX shot.
I'm sorry, I think I got food poisoning. I feel like I'm about to throw up.
Okay, you should go do it.
I'm sorry? Oh boy.
Okay, we have now subbed in Jordan here. Welcome to the couch.
Hey.
We're gonna continue as if nothing has happened.
Yeah. I don't have food poisoning.
Yet.
Yet, yeah.
So I wanted to look at this movie called Watchmen from 2009. Have you seen this?
Oh, yes. This is one of my favorites.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. This movie is loved, but also really hated for a variety of things. But visually, no one can really complain about it. And one of the cool things in this movie was this character called Rorschach, who has this sort of like psychology Rorschach test sort of design on his face that's constantly evolving. So let's look at some of this.
Tonight, a comedian died in New York.
They could have very easily just had a bunch of different, masks that he puts on between scenes, but no, they specifically wanted to have the design changing every single second because it's reflecting who he is as a character in that moment. Is he angry? Is he sad? Is he vengeful? Is he locked in here with everyone else, or are they locked in here with him?
You're locked in here with me.
Best line ever. Best line ever.
I'm sure I did it justice. So for all of these shots, they have really good reference because he's actually got a real mask over his face, but he's got these big eye holes so he can still see, which is important. But the editor, the visual effects artist, they could actually see his performance through his eyes and his eyebrows as well. So they could use his performance through his eyes as like cues for when to go to the next design or what kind of design to even go to next. They created something like 15 different designs that were handmade, like hand-drawn and whatnot, on just regular flat paper. And they were able to take that and basically use that as a texture on top of this fabric. I believe they used lycra. I think that's the fabric name. That sounds like a vegetable. And all they had to do was essentially just render it out on this sort of cloth material that's matched moved to his face.
I see.
So they of course had to motion track his head to get that correct perspective, motion, and just overall performance of the shots. But they're not just like 2D motion tracking his face and putting a design on top of it. They're actually replacing most of his face.
Oh, so they're replacing the cloth as well.
Yeah.
Or the fabric, rather.
Exactly.
Of course, and then in order to patch the eye holes, it's a lot easier to just have one seamless fabric than trying to worry about the
Trying to match
tight little pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Trying to
yeah,
match the pattern in both like scale, size, position, all that stuff. Another interesting aspect of this whole movie is Dr. Manhattan is a CG character the entire movie. There's like 38 minutes of him on camera, and this, late 2000s, so this was a bit of a feat at the time, but the filmmakers had a very clever idea. Let's have a real actor covered in LED lights, so he's actually illuminating the scene, he's illuminating the other actors around him, and we'll just replace him. Which is one of those things that sounds like a really good idea on paper, but is harder than people might expect to actually pull off.
We don't have time for makeup. That blue is too light for television.
Can you guess what the problem would be with having a character completely covered in blue LED lights? Well, I bet you know the answer. I want to hear Jordan's answer first.
Well, I want to know the right answer.
I'm guessing back then they covered them in blue LEDs. I can tell it's just messing up the camera sensor in the behind the scenes footage. They're probably pure blue LEDs, which means a camera sensor which takes red light, green light, and blue light in separate passes is getting nothing for red and green, leading to underexposure, and then way too much blue, leading to clipping, which just clips out basically to white.
All of the behind the scenes footage is suffering from that exact issue. The digital sensor is not able to clearly see the blues, so you're getting these weird artifacts.
Right on cue.
That's just the fact that those LEDs are clipping, and when they clip in only one color channel, the whole color skews of that highlight.
But in the final movie, everything looks so nice. The reason why this worked on the original Watchmen, whereas it did not work in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, is because they shot this movie on film.
And film doesn't burn out to white when it clips with the color.
So as an example, let's look at this shot from the Obi-Wan TV show.
Ooh. Whoa.
That's tough. It gets darker.
Yeah.
And notice how it's not happening with the red lightsaber either. It's something specific with the blue color wavelength and digital sensors.
Yeah, it's like a burny little shadow.
Yeah, it's not brightening the area, it's just shifting it to dark blue from dark black.
I can't blame the filmmakers here because it's such an obviously good idea. Oh, let's have everything dark and the lightsabers are just emitting a ton of light. Let's use that as the primary light source for the scene.
You should have some other color mixed in with your blue. Your color shouldn't ever just be a full singular blue wavelength. It's going to look ugly. You should have a little bit of other light in there, just a little bit. You might be like, well, what's the big deal? Just desaturate your blue a little bit. Just tone the blue down. Problem is, when you desaturate it, it's still dark. It doesn't stay bright as if you shined light on it. It just becomes as dark as the rest of the image. Now, the interesting thing you're pointing out is that in Watchmen, it's not quite as bad. And that's because film isn't red, green, and blue. It's actually silver crystals that break down. And the different crystals break down into the different wavelengths. And so if you're hitting something with pure blue, it's breaking down the crystals, but you're getting that interaction amongst all those silver crystals. So it's still a smooth roll off. It still affects each other correctly. It doesn't clip to white. If you have one color channel that's stronger than the others, you end up just getting a very saturated version of that color.
Because they were shooting it all on film, you're having that nice roll off. It's handling that sort of overexposure of that color channel, like you're saying, it's just working. I thought that was a really interesting thing. Of course, they actually did a whole bunch of really advanced stuff to actually achieve Dr. Manhattan. I just found that sort of anecdote really interesting. Like they even had LEDs on the bottom of his shoes so that whenever he would take a step, it would illuminate the floor. These are all great ideas. And for Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm sure they perhaps even reference this. It's like, yeah, this is a really good idea. And it is.
Hey guys, what should people do if they're not subscribed to this channel?
Subscribe.
I'm glad we got that one right on the first try. Welcome to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, gentlemen.
Gentlemen.
This is the Avengers, but with IPs from the 1800s.
Parker, the chemist.
Oh, chemist, eh? Do we get to blow something up then?
All right, so there's another man standing in the room. Because remember, we're talking about famous IPs from the 1800s.
Oh yeah, the Invisible Man.
Invisible Man.
Allow me to introduce myself.
Feels like a real coat.
Felt like a real coat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it probably is a real coat, but the inside of the
Inside
coat
is-
is CG, yeah.
Well, you can imagine. It was my undoing.
Just a reminder, this is 2003.
Dude, it looks really nice. There's roto lines there. I want to see his face. Oh, okay, that's full CG face.
Are you sure?
Well, go to the wide. So go back.
Wait.
Go back to the wide.
What do you mean? Are you sure?
Go back to the wide right now, because this one, because it looks real there in that wide shot. My gut was telling me it was real, and then the close up it felt like it was CG.
But he was painting it on, so my guess is maybe he was like actually painting on green paint.
But then they key out the rest of it, or blue paint, or
It would have to.
or white paint. What if you had green paint?
But we're seeing we're seeing the back of the paint. That is not an effect you can get doing practically.
I think you're right. I think it's Green Man suit. That's CG interior and real exterior jacket.
So far you are right. And it's not green, it's blue actually.
Okay.
He had like a blue morph suit on, then they had to paint his head blue, except for his face, which was always painted white. And when he's doing this, they're just revealing his face, which is already there and already painted white. They have a 3D head that's tracked onto him, of course, so they can show the backside, which is 3D rendered, and they can, mask out parts of it and leave holes in there as they want to. But his face moving underneath that's not just some crazy hyper advanced 3D model for the time. That's just his face covered with white paint.
Okay, I'm totally following what you're talking about now. And here it really
CG to me.
Especially when you can see through the hole and you can see, like, especially here on this shot, obviously we're seeing the back of it.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes you do have a 3D model, obviously.
Yeah.
It's different techniques for different moments, right?
Yeah.
This one at the very beginning here, I think might be real. That might be actually revealing him. Then I think it moves to a full CG here because they have to do so much CG anyways for the other side of the face. This, I feel like, could be either.
I feel like it's still 3D.
But the animation is
Animation
so nice.
is really good. Like that, I think is real right there when he turned. That's actually his face painted white. I mean, it's a great blend of techniques, but just having him there with the makeup, and like, it's hard obviously to do the compositing, but not impossible by that point in time. You're combining just real things on top of real things most often.
It's crazy that we're looking at this after the Rorschach thing because it's like, it's the same technique.
And it's the same author.
Wow!
Alan Moore. Wow.
So you're about to look at a pretty complicated sequence. I want you guys to break down roughly how you think it was made. Like, look at this shot.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Oh, wait, hold up. Those columns, are they just foam columns that explode?
So like miniature photography?
Was that miniature? It's.
I feel like it's miniatures. Well, it's a lot of different things, isn't it?
What about that shot we just saw? Behind the cars, it's whipping around.
I want to say CG, but then it's 2003.
It definitely didn't look CG to me. Some of that actually looks stop motion to me.
It does. Whoa. Oh, that's cool. That's totally CG. From that top down, the car CG.
Yeah? How about the background?
Background, it looks like it's CG. The destruction is better than I'd expect it to
In
be.
2003? Remember we
In
just saw that
2003?
we just saw that hallway shot in Nemo's ship, right?
Yes, but also like
That looked like a lot of projection mapping stuff to me.
Yeah, it looked like simplified geometry, but the fracturing was better than I'd expect. Go speed racer. That's sick. That's miniature.
Alrighty.
It's the end of everything.
Christian, go to the behind the scenes. Ready, gentlemen?
Okay, humble me.
Here we go.
I'm ready to eat some humble pie. Miniatures!
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty
It's
big
so
miniature
good.
work, though.
Oh, I bet they had so much fun.
That car flipped over. That was probably not
it fell
intentional.
off.
Oh, even that. Oh, so there's composited elements on top of the miniature. Wow, how cool. This looks like so much fun.
Yeah, this is insane. Like, this is one of those things where you're watching it like, how is this so good? And once again, it is the masters at work. Like, these guys built these 1/5 scale buildings that weighed 1,000 pounds and these special like scissor lifts that could collapse them hydraulically. So they could do all these different collapses, film all these different elements and put them all together. So those crazy city collapsing shots aren't people doing physics sims that you couldn't do back then.
Yeah.
It's actually just all practical elements stacked and stacked and stacked into the footage. It's incredible seeing shots where it's just like the whole thing is real. The buildings are real. The car's real. They have even, like, the people inside actually go like this when they turn the wheel on the car. Yeah.
What an unnecessary addition. I love it. It's incredible.
So I don't know how you couldn't be having fun doing this. Like, this would be a blast.
That's pretty cool, man.
This is like, watching this kind of stuff is like, this was what made me want to be a filmmaker. So what you're watching right now is a fight scene that we made to try to impress the director of Extraction 2, Sam Hargrave. And you can check it out on a new episode of Punch for Punch, a show that we're making for Netflix, and it's on their YouTube channel, Still Watching Netflix. Go check it out. So a big theme of this episode has been miniatures. I love miniatures. Please, leave a suggestion with some movies that have some of the best miniature effects you've ever seen.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope Sam will be okay, but Jordan's a pretty good Sam in the meantime. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.